This super chunky mesh shirt is my way of getting my crojo back this summer. I love a teeny yarn cotton lacy project as much as the next guy, but without that instant gratification from quick chunky knits, my crafting motivation always tends to waffle a bit in the middle of the summer. So we're going to take care of that with some very special yarn. This super bulky cotton from Loopy Mango is going to do the trick. This will help us make something summery, fast, and get that momentum restarted a bit. I know this yarn isn't super widely available, so I'll have some alternative yarns listed in the description too. But just know you'll need about 300 yards total, and because I know how precious every inch of length of super bulky yarn is, I decided to make this project sleeve to sleeve, all in one piece, limiting the number of yarn cuts you'll have to do. Pretty cool, huh? I also used a 10mm crochet hook. So let's get started with a slip knot and chain 30 chains. I'll be demonstrating the small size with numbers for different sizes on screen and in the written pattern. Once you've made the right chain for your size, we're going to skip the first one and make one single crochet in the next chain. Another single crochet into the next chain, and continue making single crochets across the row, working the cuff of your first sleeve. Chain 1, turn, and we'll make one more row of single crochet into each stitch before we begin our mesh pattern. To set up your first row of mesh, we're going to chain up 4 and turn your work. This turning chain counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1. Because it counts as a stitch, we're going to skip the first stitch, skip the next stitch, and work one double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip one stitch, and work one double crochet in the next stitch. And that's the repeat. Continue chain 1, skip 1, one double crochet in the next stitch, all the way to the end of your row. You'll have 15 double crochets and 14 chain 1 spaces. We can continue on growing our sleeve in this mesh stitch by chaining up 4, turn, skip the first chain space, and work one double crochet in the next double crochet from the previous row. Chain 1, skip one chain space, one double crochet in the next double crochet. Continue on like this to the end of the row, and when you reach that turning chain 4, work your last double crochet into the third chain of that turning chain. You can repeat this mesh pattern for a total of 5 rows, making your little sleeve about 7 to 8 inches long. This came just to my elbows on the finished top, and you can do more or fewer rows for a longer or shorter sleeve if you'd like. But now it's time to grow our front panel. So right where you are, start chaining an additional 29 chains, and this goes for all sizes. To begin working your front panel, you're actually going to skip the first 5 chains and make a double crochet into the 6th chain from your hook. Those skipped chains count as your first double crochet, as well as your chain 1 and your skipped chain. So let's keep setting up this next row of mesh with a chain 1, skip 1 chain, and 1 double crochet into the next chain. chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet in the next chain. Continue until you work back up to your sleeve. With 1 chain left, you're going to chain 1, skip 1 chain, and work 1 double crochet in that first double crochet on your sleeve. And now your front panel is officially part of your sleeve. We can continue on in the mesh stitch, working along the stitches of the sleeve now, all the way to the end. And when you reach the opposite end of your sleeve, after you work that last double crochet into the 3rd chain of your turning chain, we'll repeat the very same process for the back panel. So again, chain 29. Skip 5 chains and work 1 double crochet into the 6th chain. Now you can work in the double crochet mesh across the back panel foundation chain. With 1 chain left, work 1 double crochet into the first sleeve stitch, and continue on in your double crochet mesh pattern, working all the way to the end, straight across the front panel piece as well. At the end of this row, this is what you'll have: the sleeve with the front and back panel on either side. Yes, the front panel will have 1 more row to it than the back panel. I kind of factored that into how the top fits, and this is just what we had to do as to not cut the yarn, so we're just gonna go with it. It's also a good way to tell your front and back panels apart. Now all you have to do is keep working your mesh to grow the panels until you have 6 back panel rows, which will also give you 7 front panel rows. And I just gotta point out that I flopped my project around here, so that's the back and that's the front. Sorry for any confusion, but I wanted to show you that my working yarn is at the edge of the back panel, about to approach the front, and that's where we'll split off to create the kind of cardigan style opening of this garment. I marked the middle stitch, which I found easily by finding the middle stitch of my sleeve and just following it up. And now that it's marked, I can show you what I do when we get there. So I'm working my next row, and as you can see, when I reach the middle stitch, I'm going to work 1 double crochet into that middle stitch, I'll chain 1, skip 1, work 1 more double crochet, and again chain 1, skip 1, and 1 more double crochet into the next stitch. So I've worked a total of 2 more double crochets ahead of that middle stitch. This is going to make the shirt fit slightly longer in the back than the front. And now we're going to chain to start the other half of our front panel. You'll need 39 more chains to match the front panel half that you have so far. And you know the drill at this point. Skip 5 chains, make 1 double crochet into the 6th chain to do yet another setup row for the double crochet mesh. When you reach the rest of your cardigan, it's just like before when you met up with the sleeve. Chain 1, skip 1, and work 1 double crochet into the first double crochet on your shirt. I'll just zoom out real quick and show you where I'm at. I've got the front panel split, and I can keep working in the mesh until here, where I'm about to work the 7th row of my second front panel to match the 7 rows on my first front panel. And to avoid an extra row in the back, I'm going to stop when I get to parallel with the sleeve here, at which point I can start working just the sleeve back and forth. To know how far to work before you stop, I'll have the stitch counts written in the pattern, but you can also eyeball it by finding your last sleeve stitch on the opposite side and tracing that double crochet stitch column up with your finger. That's the last stitch we'll work into on the other sleeve. And here I am working up to that stitch. Once I've put a double crochet into it, it's time to start working that sleeve. So I'm going to chain up 4 and turn. Counting that turning chain, I'm going to work in the mesh pattern for a total of 15 double crochets in this row, which will exactly match the sleeve I started with. And I'll work that sleeve for 5 rows, just like the other one. Last but not least, we need to add the single crochet cuff by working a single crochet into each double crochet stitch. And I worked my single crochets into the chain space rather than trying to squeeze it into the chain itself. Continue working 1 single crochet for each stitch and chain space. And when you reach the end of the row, don't forget to work 1 single crochet in the last chain space. And into the 3rd chain of the turning chain to maintain your stitch count. Chain 1, turn, and work 1 final row of single crochet. And here's what you've got, the whole shirt in one piece. Gotta love a sleeve-to-sleeve project. And with your hook and working yarn right at the sleeve corner, once you fold the whole thing in half, you're perfectly positioned to start your slip stitch seam along the underside of the sleeve and the side of the body. So let me show you how I do that. I'm going to pop my hook through the other sleeve corner and pull my live loop through here. Then I'm going to head down the sleeve, slip stitching each side together, trying to keep it at about 1 slip stitch for each stitch or chain space on the shirt, and making sure to keep my slip stitches nice and loose. Because my neck opening is shifted forward, I don't have an equal number of stitches on the panels at the end, so to compensate for this, I skipped a chain space on the longer side. And then finally slip stitched into the 3rd chains of the turning chains on either end. And that completes my first seam. I'm going to work a row of single crochet along the bottom edge and all around the collar of the shirt and along the bottom edge on the opposite front panel to make my way to the other side so I can start the other seam. To do that single crochet edge, I go into the 1st chain space on the bottom edge of my front panel with a single crochet, and work a single crochet in the next double crochet. And as long as you're working 1 single crochet stitch for each chain space and double crochet, it will work out nicely. At the corners, I worked 2 single crochets in the chain spaces to sort of turn the corner, if you will. And once you've got your single crochet edge, your working yarn is right there ready to seam the other side seam. And this is what you'll have so far. A super cute, simple, meshy, chunky cardigan. But I wanted to add a collar just for a little extra structure and a modern feel. The collar is just 6 straight rows of single crochet. It curves around nicely just because we work it onto the curved neckline of the shirt. I chose the spot to start the collar at based on the first double crochet stitch after the sleeve. So 13 double crochets up from the bottom. Parallel to that stitch is where I fastened on. and worked single crochets up and around the collar to the corresponding stitch, 13 double crochets up from the bottom on the other side, back and forth for 6 rows. And just like that, you've got a modern crochet cover-up, faster than you've ever crocheted a cover-up before. I'm obsessed with this soft, squishy cotton, and I can't wait to wear it to the beach. I hope this pattern helps you get through your crojo summer slump. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!